Ancient Indigenous burial ground unearthed by construction workers in Toronto. A construction crew in Toronto made a remarkable discovery when they stumbled upon a burial ground dating back 700 years. The finding, which adds to a series of similar discoveries in the area, sheds light on the rich Indigenous history of the region. During the installation of a water line, workers unearthed human remains from the ancient burial ground. Recognizing the significance of their find, they promptly alerted the authorities. Forensic anthropologist Greg Olson from the Ontario Forensic Pathology Service was brought in to examine the site, located on Withrow Avenue in the city's Riverdale neighborhood. Olson confirmed that the remains were Indigenous and identified the site as a burial ground. This is the fifth confirmed native burial site discovered in the Toronto area within the past 4 months, indicating a growing trend of such findings. Interestingly, the newly discovered site is situated approximately 30 feet away from a plaque commemorating a previous excavation in 1886 known as the Withrow site. The earlier dig revealed an ossuary, a container housing bones, that may have been around 700 years old. However, due to limitations in the available documentation, the exact details of the site remained unclear, and many of the remains were lost during the previous excavation. Examining the recently discovered site, Olson encountered fragmented long bones and observed human bones extending into the sidewall of the pit. The remains provided valuable insights into the lives of the deceased. Based on the worn-down molars, indicative of a diet of stone-ground corn, and the shovel-like shape of the front teeth, common among Native American and Asian populations, Olson estimated that the remains were between 700 and 1,000 years old. The surrounding area has a long history of Indigenous settlements, dating back as far as 13,000 years. Historian John Johnson, a member of First Story Toronto, an Indigenous history group, suggests that the newly discovered burial site likely belongs to the Wendat Nation. The Wendat people, part of the Iroquoian-speaking nations, have a significant presence in the Toronto area, with numerous Wendat sites scattered throughout. The Wendat practice the tradition of reburial in ossuaries before relocating their communities to fresh soil, a practice consistent with the findings at the site. After examining the remains, Olson reinterred them and performed a tobacco ceremony to honor the deceased. Discussions are now underway between the Provincial Bereavement Authority and the Six Nations and Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who share rights to the land, to determine the next steps in addressing the discovery. Indigenous activist and historian Philip Coate, along with a large group, held a sacred fire ceremony and feast at the burial site to pay homage to their ancestors. Coate emphasizes the importance of sharing the stories of the Indigenous people who have a deep-rooted history in the Riverdale neighborhood. The unearthing of this ancient Indigenous burial ground highlights the significance of preserving and understanding the cultural heritage of the First Nations. It serves as a reminder of the enduring presence of Indigenous communities and their rich history in the Toronto region.